Hey, I'm Chris Stefanik from The Chris Stefanik Show. Check out this clip about how to live a more joyful life in your everyday life every day. And I love the intentional time with the spiritual life. Are you thinking of, here's a great question, how do you maintain the balance between your spiritual and physical health? And are you intentionally, how do you turn your workout into a more spiritual experience? Are you making an act of the will as you do this?
Absolutely. This is probably one of my favorite things. When I got into working out more, like I said, it started from a desire to be noticed very quickly. And I was in seminary, I was living my faith pretty radically. I was like, people run marathons dedicated to their aunt who has cancer. People dedicate books and movies. Why can't I dedicate my workout every single day as a prayer to somebody else, offering my body as a living sacrifice, uniting it, making it not about just how much I can lift today. I'm offering this pain so that hopefully somebody else who's going through something might have the strength to get through what they're going through. And I tell that to my clients a lot, just a simple...
You're offering it up literally as you go along.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome.
I tell this to my clients, just one little, life hack to accountability. Text somebody the night before. If you're doing an early morning workout and it's hard to wake up in the morning, text somebody the night before, hey, I just want to let you know tomorrow morning I'm going to work out and I'm going to offer it for you. It doesn't have to be like, a cliche, I'm going to offer it up, but just I'm going to dedicate it for you. Yeah. I just want you to know that. I hope you have a great day. It keeps you accountable. It also kind of, inspires somebody else in that. But the physical and the spiritual, it's so important, and I really wanted to get to that point. The life of prayer, it can be so easy to think, I'm too busy to pray. I have so much to do. I got family, I got kids, whatever, job. When you take that time away to take care of yourself, it lends itself to make you better at those other things. It's very similar to the physical aspect, When you take that time out, it's going to make you better disposed to give of yourself in those other ways. That's self-mastery, taking control, learning to push through temporary pain for a greater good. I mean, that's really what the gospel is at the end of the day. So whether somebody's Catholic, Christian or not, that principle is going to be the same. But for me, it is a very spiritual journey for me. Just as I set aside time for prayer each day, I set aside time to make sure I'm being the healthiest I can be, to take care of the gift that God gave me in my body, not just for the sake of having a good body, but for the sake of being a well-disciplined and integrated human being to give of myself.
And that taking the time, that self-care time, I think cuts to a really fundamental wound. A lot of people fail at this because they don't think they're worth it. There's everything from housewives who are full-time moms to, you just gave a conference for priests in Arizona, right, to teach them about fitness and spirituality, which I want to dig into that more in a second. But especially anyone who's pouring themselves out for others, they frequently think, well, I got to do these 15 things before I get to my self-care. It's like, no, actually, you are more important than those 15 things.
Right.
And I way more than needing all the dishes done, your kids need you to be happy.
Yeah.
Way more than having your homily perfectly prepared and typed out. Your parishioners need to see that you're taking care of yourself.
Right.
And you smile when you get up there.
Yeah.
You want to promote vocations? Have kids look at you and say, that guy's a happy priest.
Absolutely.
But if we don't do that, it's probably because we haven't really believed that we're worthy of that love.
Yeah.
Man, it's amazing how many wounds this whole topic kicks up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I see it happen all the time. It happens in myself, too. And it's not a one and done where you overcome those things and all of a sudden now I have good spiritual, fitness. It's like, no. Day in and day out, you're battling those thoughts and those things. But somebody's iPhone breaks, they're probably going to get a new iPhone pretty darn quick.
Right.
The brakes go out in their car, they're probably going to get new brakes pretty quick. The health of your body, the one gift God gave you to live your entire life, oftentimes becomes the last priority. When you change those, just like prayer, you begin to see everything else kind of fall in line.
Right. What was the main message you took with those priests? Was it for who was it? Was for all the priests?
Yeah, it was for the Diocese of Phoenix. So they invited me to come in to do an ongoing formation workshop. So it's 2.5 hours. We got to dive into kind of what I call the theology of discipline in one session. The second session really dived into nutrition and exercise science.
Wow.
Gave them practical ways, but just talking to them and their vocation, just trying to emphasize to them again, your life is spent all the time just giving of yourself and laying yourself down. The gift that you're laying down, don't you want that to be the best gift that it can be? Before the fall, our body was subordinate to our soul. It was in union.
Yeah.
We didn't have things like gluttony and laziness, and now after the fall, it's ruptured. So we have all these things rebel against us. It's just one natural way on the human level to just begin to reorder that soul-body relationship. So with the priests, it was awesome to be able to be with them and a topic that priests probably don't get talked to about really ever.
Not enough.
I've never really heard that,
Yeah.
topic for them.
Yeah.
But so imperative for their
And then
lives.
translates to the ministry too, right? You were
Absolutely.
telling me you encountered a guy who got advice from one of the priests.
Yeah. The next day, I got a text from a guy that I hadn't heard from in a while, and told me, that this priest had just mentioned something to him about, hey, you might want to look into exercising more. This guy came and gave this talk about it, and it has me thinking a lot about the importance of that. It's something so simple, and a lot of things in life can be that way. It's just like keeping it simple things, taking care of those fundamental things. It's so easy to overlook them and just over spiritualize, and we can do all the prayers we want. That's great. You have to have that. But if you go and sit in the chapel, for an hour and then come out and you snap at your kid all of a sudden because they ask you a question, or you revert to just alcohol each night to deal with your stress, it's a little bit off.
Right. Right. I think it was was it Mother Teresa who said if you want to be holy, act holy. And then if you want to be a well-balanced, well-rounded person who values things like self-care, well, just do it.
Right.
And then it's gonna kick up the wounds that stop you from doing it. It's gonna start auto-correcting all the things inside.
Yeah.
Instead of having to sit there and stew in our dysfunction. I've given this advice to a lot of young adult men who looks like they're kind of defeated and are asking me for advice about life. I'm like, dude, let's cut through all this stuff. How about you deadlift?
I love that. Just go lift some heavy weight.
It doesn't matter if all you can get is a 25 on each side. As long as you're as you lift it, it just unleashes the beast,
Right.
and it builds the confidence. And it's amazing how this is undervalued
Absolutely.
among devout Christians.
Yeah.
Among devout Catholics. I had a young adult woman tell me the other day. She's like, she's just got into her faith, and she's like, I'm looking around for a guy who's like, at minimum, I want to know, like, if my house is on fire, he could carry me out of it. Like,
Right, yeah, absolutely.
I want to go to some of these dudes, like, have you heard of a gym? Like, you don't have to be huge, but curl every once in a while, But there's something about that sends, not just the psychological health, but sends a message to the world about how we carry ourselves.
Yeah.
How we discipline ourselves.
Yeah.
How we live our lives. I do a lot of public speaking, and I find that during the COVID time, I lost some of my motive, and I'm building the body back.
Sure.
To me, that's not vanity. That's part of the message. My body conveys as I'm in front of people talking.
Right.
That if I want to tell you how to live your life, I have to look like I'm
Sure.
actually living my life in a disciplined way. Priests, I want to see them do the same thing.
Yeah.
How do you not cross that line from
Yeah.
like the appearance does actually matter,
Right.
to here's vanity, and it's what is the distinction between those two, and how do you personally, especially in a career that's like it feeds that,
Right.
like super feeds
Yeah,
you
it's
making sure you
something-
look good.
It's something I wrestle with all the time. And again, virtue, we like things to be very clean cut and think, okay, if you're doing it here, you're good. But virtue is oftentimes, it's a organic balance between two extremes. And some days you win and some days you don't. I had this really interesting encounter. I got a call from a priest one day. He lost about 45 pounds working with me. He was looking great, feeling amazing. He didn't look like a bodybuilder by any means. He looked like a normal human being to me at that point.
Yeah.
Wasn't underfed or anything. He called me and said, hey, Dakota, I had a couple of parishioners who approached me and, asked me, hey, Father, are you sick? Or, I've noticed you're really giving a lot into your health. Are you okay? Is everything, kind of that, are you being vain? Are you sick? What's going on with you? Like, you've had this huge change. And he's like, Dakota, like, am I being too extreme with this? And I was telling him, Father, you have to understand there's two really important components to this. The first is that when you begin to progress in your life in good ways, it's going to highlight people's insecurities. It contrasts their insecurities a lot. So they have one of two options. They can either take that, that challenge of themselves and they can rise up to it and be like, that's inspiring, I want to do better. Or they can cut you down to make themselves feel better in their, whatever you want to call it, let's call it mediocrity.
Yeah.
Well, the other component to this that I told him is, Father, the extremes that people live have become normal. So now if you deviate from what's normal, you're seen as immediately, oh, you're dieting, or oh, you care about your looks.
Yeah.
And I told him, the average has become the normal. It's not normal to overeat every single meal of every single day, to never take care of your body, to abuse your health. That's not normal.
Right.
But of course, if I were to say that to somebody, hey, should you really have that extra piece of pizza? No, I mean, it's insulting.
Oh yeah, totally.
So on the
Yeah.
flip side, it's very easy to say,
Should you really be lifting and
Right.
taking care of yourself?
right.
You know, if you ever go crabbing, you don't have to put a lid on the top of a big bucket of crabs, because as soon as one gets near the top, they'll pull it back down.
You're not getting
True
out.
story, man.
No, absolutely.
Like, you
It's
get
an
down
art.
here with us and stink. You know?
Yeah.
No, it's true, man.
But it's tough. It really comes down to your intention. Obviously, that's with a lot of things.
Yeah. Man, wasn't that great? Listen, if you don't want to be happy, be sure not to subscribe. But if you want a more joyful life, the kind of life that God created you for, the kind of life Jesus promised when he said, I came to give you life to the full, then make sure you hit subscribe and share this channel with everybody you know.